Good morning. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's another sunny, beautiful day here in New York, but not so sunny for us Knicks fans. The skies are gray. Normally, we want orange and blue skies, but as you can see, the background says it all. No identity. That's what this team is facing right now. No identity whatsoever. I don't know what's going on with them right now. They're just no continuity, no swag. Except for the bench. The bench is doing phenomenally. The bench is the energizer of the team, but the starters look lost. They don't know what they want to do. They can't get the ball where they want to get it. Their shots are trash. And let's face the facts, Knicks fans, the Knicks are not looking good. It's time maybe to make some changes that I've been stressing for the last few shows. The other day they played a defensive game where I was like, oh, maybe they're back, they're doing their thing. But I don't think that's the case. I think that whenever they want to play hard, they play hard, and that's unacceptable when you're a New York product and you're playing in front of millions and millions of fans, especially here in New York City. To play here, you have to have a certain swag, like I've been saying. You got to play with a lot of heart. And besides the bench, this team is not playing with heart. And not to mention the coach right now. I don't know what he's thinking. Obi Toppin was having a phenomenal game last night, and then the coach took him out with like 4 minutes to go. So I don't know what Coach Tibbs is thinking. Somebody needs to talk to that man. But we're going to get Zenray in here, and he'll share his light. I'm Juby the Tubi. You're here with family above everything. And let's get Zenray in here with Zenray Sports TV.
Obi topping. He plays a different type of game. But we'll be touching upon this subject with Juby the Tubi, family above everything. Juby, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, man. Good morning. It's another beautiful day in New York City. Like I was explaining to my chat, where we normally would want orange and blue skies, which is what it is. But unfortunately, right now for us Knicks fans, the skies are gray.
Yeah, the skies are very gray as my Nick.
I think I need some whiskey in this coffee this morning, because after the coach decisions that I've been seeing, and the starting lineup, and like I was explaining to the chat, specifically for the Knicks starting lineup, right in the background, you see it says no identity. The Knicks starting lineup has no identity, ladies and gentlemen. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they want to do. They're just lost in the sauce. The man who stirs the drink, I think he needs to find himself a new job, because right now it's looking scary, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. What do you think about what you saw last night?
Let me just say this. Thibodeau's MO has always been, he's a great defensive coach, but when it came to the offense, he kind of it takes him a while to figure it out. And last year, it seems like it didn't take very long to figure it out. You get a bunch of young, enthusiastic kids to come together and play, and you set your defensive rotations, and everything worked out slowly but surely. It was a work in progress. We're 15 games in, and we were about the same record as last year. I think we were one loss difference. But I don't think it's time to panic, like Julius Randle said in his interview. And I heard his interview. He sounds as confused as you and I are. He can't figure it out. He kept on saying something is weird. I don't understand. Something is weird. Something is not right. And I think it starts all with the unit coming together. That first unit is lost. No identity. You hit it on the head the last show. They are lost. And let me just say that the Knicks need to find a solution to this challenging problem with the rotation. Thank God Alex Burks made a run last night. And if it wasn't for him, the Knicks probably get blown out. But as we were making that run, 2 key turnovers quickly, and then Rose just killed that comeback last night. And there's no reason for us to come back, to have to be coming back all the time. That third quarter, again, we're lost. We got out-rebounded. We had 18 turnovers. We couldn't shoot threes. There's an issue here, and it starts with the coach, and he's taking full responsibility. He says, it starts with me, and he has to figure it out. And we all have to work harder and get it together. So, Juby, I'll let you go from there. And
You hit a couple of great spots, man. It starts off with coaching, ladies and gentlemen. Like you said, Alex Burke, phenomenal game. Thankfully, he kept us in the game. But let's not forget my man Obi Toppin, who had a breakout game last night. Look, was shooting the three, was dunking, was rebounding, was blocking, and like always, Coach Tibbs decided to say, you know what? This guy is starting to percolate. Let me take him out. Let me save him for next game. I don't know what Coach Tibbs' thought process is, to be honest with you guys. I know you say that he's a defensive-minded coach, and let's be honest, we haven't seen that this season. We've been seeing players, different games, show up for work. And like I said, explained to the chat, it's unacceptable when you're playing for a team like New York Knicks, who has a track record of being a heart and soul and playing with heart in this organization, to come out flat the way they've been coming out. But Coach Tibbs, I don't know what his thought process is. Like I said, Obi Toppin was having a phenomenal game. And with 4 minutes to go, he took him out. Mitchell Robinson, I understand he caught a key rebound. Then he fell on his hip, aggravated a little bit. So that I could understand. But what I just didn't understand is some of these shiftings of the lineup. It still doesn't make any sense to me. I know he's trying to find the right balance, and he said that on every given night he's going to change it based on the game and how it's going. But last night it was going so well with that Obi Toppin lineup, and like always recently, he takes him out. So with that said, I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. I don't know if he's going to change his ways. Like you said, he's a very stuck in his ways coach, and he likes to stick to his veterans. We didn't see too much of Taj Gibson doing anything, which he had a phenomenal game the other night. And on certain nights, your players are not going to be hot, but you got to find something. And last night, we found it in Burks and Obi, and for some reason, he decided to turn his cheek. I don't even know what to say, man. What are your thoughts about last night's game?
my question is, what was Julius Randle thinking last night? First of all, they weren't driving into the paint. They had no. I want to go over their stats in the paint.
Horrible.
Mo Bamba intimidates the Knicks. Mo Bamba is just a guy trying to figure it out on his team. Mm-hmm. So Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter, they're intimidated to go down low and drive on these guys. That's where you get your points. That's how you go into the free throw lines and get free throws. They didn't get a lot of attempts in the free throws. They were shooting threes. How is Julius Randle shooting threes like he's Steph Curry? Like he's gonna get, and his numbers are horrible. He didn't do no bully ball. He didn't go down low. I don't understand what Randle was thinking last night, airing shots out there and not driving to the hole. I didn't see it from Barrett. I didn't see it from Kemba. I didn't see him. They were intimidated to drive down the lane, and they were taking these 3-pointers. Once you shoot 49 3-pointers, and I'll put the stats up later on, and you're not being effective.
And that's half of the field goals made, ladies and gentlemen, by the Knicks team. So when you have half of field goal attempts from 3, there's a problem.
I totally agree. So I'm gonna go over. So Mo Bamba is had a nice game yesterday. He had 12 points. He had 2 block shots. But is he the guy who's gonna stop you from? He's not an Anthony Davis that's down there or something like that. Come on, give me a break. You have to put pressure on them. They didn't put no pressure down the paint. They decided, okay, let's just shoot the ball from the outside. It's a very lackadaisical team that gets lazy. And when they're at home, they think like a magic wand is going to happen, and they're going to win their games at home. How do you lose back-to-back games at the Garden with a 3-11 team at the time? Now they're 4-11 in Orlando, who already beat you, have half their wins upon us at our home court. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. I know we're 15 games in, but there has to be a solution. And I'm going to go over some numbers here. The team stats, I don't even want to go over it, but the Knicks field goal percentage overall from the field was 42%. The 3-point was 32%, and they were 8 from 12 from the free throw line. You have to get more attempts at a free throw line. 12 attempts? That means you're not penetrating to the basket. And they had 45 rebounds. We got out-rebounded. So, once again, when you get out-rebounded and you get out-hustled and out-muscled, that's what Orlando came with a lot of energy. That team and that rookie Suggs, He's a Jason Kidd type of. That's why a lot of teams wanted him, and that would have been the perfect solution for the Knicks. But that's for another story, and we'll go over that. The Knicks had 25 assists. We had 7 block shots, so that tells you Mitchell was doing his job down low. We had 18 turnovers, and they scored 21 points out of the 18 turnovers. They had 15 points. We had 18 points out of the turnovers. We only had 9 points in the fast break. They had 12, and they had 42 points down points in the paint. We had 40. We had 20 fouls, and our largest lead was 7. Their largest lead was 10. So the numbers are kind of misleading a little bit, but where they won the game at is in the rebounds department and at the free throw line. They went to the free throw line much more, and they shot. We should have won this game. I mean, we shot better from them from three-pointer. We shot better, but the thing that killed us, it was those 18 turnovers. That
Agreed.
was the straw that broke the camel's back. 18 turnovers, and you can't win games when you have 18 turnovers. They had 15. And that, I mean, what else can I say? I mean, the Knicks box score, I mean, if you look at it, it's not bad. I mean, Randle had 13 points. He should have had more. He had 3 turnovers. He was a minus 21. Robinson, it was the only plus in that starting lineup.
Not even RJ Barrett, because RJ Barrett didn't have a super bad game as far as numbers.
But he was a minus 2. He had 17 points. I mean, Barrett did good, but see, I think that by having Randle there and having no point guard, listen, Kemba Walker's too inconsistent. Let me pose this question to you. If we had Chris Paul as our point guard, do you think that we'd be having these things? That tells you the value of a point guard like Chris Paul. This won't happen because he's a really, really true point guard. He knows how to analyze the team. He knows what works, what doesn't work, and he's the leader. He'll take over. Yeah. Right now, we have a whole bunch of 2s and 3s, but we don't have a number 1 guy in that team. Chris Paul would have been that. Damian Lillard could be that. We don't have a leader in that team. We don't. We have no leadership. Nobody takes the ball and say, "I am the man." And Randle was that last year. He's not doing it. When he plays bully ball, he shouldn't be playing bully ball. When he should be playing ball, he doesn't. He shoots from the outside. He's too inconsistent. Then Evan Fournier, he is lost because he's another guy saying, "I want to pass it out to Julius." No one wants to take charge. He's not the same player when he doesn't drive to the lane or shoot the ball when he's open. I've seen too many times Fournier is taking shots he shouldn't be taking, and when he's open, he's passing the ball out. The team is in disarray. No identity, Juby. You hit it right in the head on our last show. I'm just confused. I'll go out. I'll let you make a plea, a comment, and then we'll go over the bench scoring.
Well, let me just tell you, I've been waiting for this kind of aggression from my partner here. Because, last few games, he's like, "Oh, Juby, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's going to work his way out." But just to hear it in his tone and just see the aggravation is finally kicking in, it's good. Because that means that there is a problem. And we got to stop sitting there and saying, "Oh, don't worry. They'll get it together." There is a problem. And the problem starts with, like you said, the starters. Nobody wants to take charge of the team. Nobody know whose team this is. Last season, Julius Randle was the man. He took the team on his back with the help of Derrick Rose and company and brought them to the playoffs. This season, nobody wants to take that responsibility, it seems. And it seems like Derrick Rose, ever since he signed that $500 each shot three-pointer made foundation that he's doing, he's trying to shoot the lights out. I mean, at the beginning of the game, he was 4 for 8. So I sat there and I said, okay, that's not too bad. But then when I started seeing him just chuck away, and then everybody else was chucking away, and then we finished the game with 49 3-point attempts. You're not going to win the game. You're not the Golden State Warriors. You don't have the Splash Brother dynamic duel on your team. And reality is, you need to find a way to score. And right now, that's not happening. Julius Randle is not doing enough. RJ Barrett is he's still young. Although I like the fact that he got blocked or fouled at one end of the court, got his own rebound, came down the other court and got fouled. And I loved his energy that he brought. But I felt like him, Obi, and Alex Burke were the only ones who showed up last night. Everybody else was kind of just going with the flow and looking at the clock to see when the game was going to be over. Nobody wanted to play yesterday, and it's just a sad thing to see because, like you said, the Magic are 3 and something coming into the game. They're half of the 3-11. Half of their wins are against us. These are teams that we're supposed to beat as a New York franchise who went to the playoffs last year, who were 4th in the whole entire Eastern Conference. And right now, like you said, the point guard situation is a problem. I'm starting to question if Lonzo Ball maybe would have been a good thing because look what he's doing in Chicago. I know DeMarcus DeRozan is doing phenomenal and Zach LaVine, but Lonzo Ball, every game I'm looking at his scorecard, he's 7-8 assists, 15 points. I see some highlights and he's passing the ball full court, running and gunning. And here we got Kemba Walker, the one-leg bandit, who's just I don't even know what to say anymore, guys. I'm tired of it, and I know it's only 15 games in, but I'm here to tell you, some starting lineup needs to be addressed 100%, and something needs to be rotated in and out. They even sent McBride to the Westchester Knicks yesterday, and he dropped 25 points. Your man dropped 9 assists. So that tells you if he's doing that, why are you sending him down there? Bring him back up.
You have to give him playing time. He's going to be our future point guard, and I'm glad you brought that up. But you're going to let him play because he's not. Thibodeau can't give him playing time right now because he has too much vested in Kemba Walker. He has too much vested in Derrick Rose right now. But I'm pretty sure if one of these guys get injured, he's going to come up and he's going to be the backup there because you also have Quickly and you have Brooks who can play point guard. There's no room, but I like the way they develop him. I see him next year as a rotational player, and eventually 2 or 3 years from now, the starting point guard of the Knicks. But aren't you tired of hearing Thibodeau the same thing? You have to play 48 minutes. You can't let your guard down. Unfortunately, we beat ourselves tonight. Our turnovers hurt us. We're capable of playing a lot better than we did. We give them a lot of credit. They played well. They played hard. We didn't. It's just like the same thing over, and it happens in the third quarter. That third quarter is we get outscored, we get outplayed, they take a lead, and then we have to now fight back to take the lead. We take the lead again, winning by 6 points with Burks. All of a sudden, we're making turnovers, stepping out of bounds quickly with a bad turnover, slam dunk by Ross. Then we're coming down. We're down by 4 with about a minute and a half left. Rose has the ball. He throws a kind of a side pass over to the sideline. Thought the guy was open. The guy comes in, and the game was over right there. So the Knicks are out of touch, out of sequence. And I get animated is because, when you see the same problem over and over again and you don't find a solution, it tells you that Tibbs is either experimenting in that 20 game. We still got 5 more games of his experiment. And then from there on, he puts the lineup that he thinks. Now, personally, I think Julius Randle is stunting Barrett's growth because you see Barrett doesn't do anything with that starting unit, but when he plays with Obi and Mitchell Robinson and Derrick Rose, Barrett's a different player. He takes charge out there. It's the energy. The doom and gloom of Randle. You saw him yesterday when Obi came in. He looked like Alfred Payton last year. Like he was upset, disinterested, like not hooray for his team, not happy for the teammates because he was benched or wasn't benched, but he was rested. And they put Obi in, and Obi was getting all the points, and all the crowd was going crazy for him. And I don't think he liked that. Because I think he felt a little bit annoyed about being sat down and that Obi came in. But Obi was effective. So then he brings Randle back in, and what happened? It gets stagnant again. He starts shooting. And then the thing about Randle is when things go bad for him, he doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
At least with Barrett, if things go bad, he plays defense.
Yeah. Listen, I know we just invested $110 million, and this is a shout out to my little brother who told me last week, you know what, bro? Maybe the Knicks should start looking, and I know it's only 15 games, but what if they trade, instead of mentioning Mitchell Robinson and all these guys that you're talking about packaging for Damian, why not offer Portland Julius Randle? And then you have Obi Toppin as your starting power forward, and then you have Damian with RJ Barrett and company. And I
I
don't know.
tell
But
you, I tell you, that's not a bad throw. Your brother, that's the hits. You know why? Because I think a lot of stuff with Randall is mental. He's never gonna change that. He's
no.
a mental thing with him. And you know what I hate about Randall, I dislike about Randall, is that when he gets a foul call, he just shut up. He goes and he gets aggressive. He lets little things bother him and it affects his game.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have the mindset where he can clear out and play his game. He has
Yeah.
to go, oh, I didn't foul, you didn't foul. Forget about it. That's past. And I think the game is getting affected. I see Obi Toppin getting more minutes. I'm telling you, we spoke this earlier before the season started. Obi Toppin and any other team, he's a 20-point scorer.
He's a starter. He's a starting
Easily.
power forward. Starting power forward, hands
Oh
down.
yeah. Look, at this time you have to the Knicks have to kind of look at this and say, what should we do next? I don't see that thing happening. You mentioned it should happen because
Yeah.
if you get Damian Lillard, the contracts kind of match a little bit. Probably we have to pay a little bit more or less. But you take his $20 million and you take Damian's $30 million he's making, and then give some players or Knox and some other players. At this point, we need Randall has no energy. There's something different about him this year, and I can't put a finger on it. I don't know if it's he doesn't know what his role is, but he has proven to me so far he is not the leader, and he doesn't deserve to be the man stirring our drinks. I think it should be Barrett. Barrett, I think if you take Randall out there, if you take Randall off that starting rotation, you put Obi, Barrett will take over. And Obi doesn't mind that. Obi doesn't need to be the star.
I don't think that'll happen, though. I mean, unfortunately, while Randall's still on this team, regardless of his play style, you invested $110 million on this man. So no management is gonna sit there and bench their high possession in a sense. I think it should happen. I would love for Julius Randle to sit there and say, you know what, I'm not playing well. Let me come off the bench and let's start Obi Toppin. And I would also love Coach Tibbs to experiment a little bit. Maybe one game you don't start Evan Fournier and you move RJ. And this is gonna sound crazy. I know what you guys are gonna say. Maybe you move RJ Barrett to the 2, and you bring in Burks, or you bring RJ Barrett to the 2, and you put Obi Toppin as your small forward with Julius Randle. But those two, for some reason, are not meshing well together. But Obi Toppin seems to, when you give that man minutes, he seems to electrify that team, and that starting lineup needs some electrocution because right now it's all in the bench, and that starting lineup is lacking energy. So you need to put somebody who's going to energize that starting lineup. Maybe it's as simple as just benching Evan Fournier and putting Alex Burke as your starting shooting
They
guard.
won't do that. You keep because Burks is good where he's at. You mess with that unit, but I'm going to throw something out there. So you spoke about the rookie that scored 25 points.
Ah,
Okay,
I saw some highlights from him too. What a great! Let me just say, when we got him, I was like, oh, Zenray, I don't know who that guy is. You know, maybe he's gonna be okay. Maybe he's just a fill-in. I saw some highlights from that game last night. I know it's just G League, but the kid can play. He's good.
Yeah. So let me mention my mindset. They give him enough games at the G League so he can get his motor going. I see him in desperation, him starting as the point guard of that team, of the Knicks,
Ooh.
probably about 30, 40 games in. Get him
Ooh.
his playing time. Because if he keeps on putting those numbers in the G League, you have to get him some playing time here. Because I think Kemba Walker is not the guy. McBride brings his energy by his defense. Imagine putting McBride out there.
Facts.
Imagine that.
So what you're saying? So what you're saying is
defensively.
So what you're saying is Miles McBride will be eventually the starting point guard, and Derrick Rose will be the backup, and Kemba Walker will be your fill-in. Just
He'll be the guy coming off the bench like Burks in terms of getting some quick baskets or something like that when he's on.
so he'll be like a Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford kind of player.
Right.
Just come in,
Right.
got you.
Instant bake. You bring Burks and I mean that's not. I don't think it's gonna happen. Luka Samanik last night had 32 points last night. If you trade Randall, he's only 22 years old. You trade Randall, Obi will be your starting point power forward, and Lucas Samanik comes off your bench, filling up, being your backup in that second unit. I'm telling you, the Knicks have. It's not going to happen. You're right. They invested 100. The Knicks made their bet a little too early.
Yeah.
We got the Randle of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We got the Randle 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Wow, that was good. Yeah, 100%. Julius Randle from 2018, because the Randle from last year, no.
Listen, what they say about zebras? Zebras don't change their stripes.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I'm speaking out of just kind of just concern here.
and
But
frustration.
yeah, and 15 games in, I've seen enough. I don't know about you, Juby. I've seen enough blowing leads in the third quarter, losing to Orlando Magic twice. I don't think this Knicks unit would do that last year.
No, and they did
At
it.
the beginning of the year.
They did it.
So this unit, there's no chemistry with Fournier. Fournier, I don't think Fournier is the issue. I think when you don't have, if you had a Chris Paul here, everybody would be distributing the ball. He'll be the leader, and everybody will back away because he is your all-star or superstar on that team. I think that's when the Knicks went wrong. What did they say? My mother sent me a long time ago to buy a hammer at a 99-cent store. And the hammer, after using it a few times, broke. And then my dad said, you get what you pay for. So you go cheap on a point guard, and that's what you get for it. You don't want to pay the big money for Chris Paul? There you go. So
Yeah.
you pay big money for. So right now, if you had to pay big money for Paul or Randle, even though it's double the salary of Randle, I think Paul would have changed that. But we have what we have now. McBride is our future. Somatic could be your 22-year-old kid, play for the Spurs, has a lot of upside, could be your future backup power forward. What do you think about that, Judy?
He's on the Westchester Knicks right now, the somatic guy.
But they played together. They played last night together. He had 32.
I didn't even pay attention to him.
Had 29 points.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention. I didn't even pay attention to that guy. But listen, something needs to happen because, like you said, it's 15 games in. You know, I was already calling it after 10 games. I was like, I've seen enough. And then everybody was like, oh, it's still too early. You got to give him time to gel. When you're a professional and when you expect a certain quality of a team, especially after coming from the previous season the way they did, you have expectations. And right now, those expectations are not being met whatsoever. This is the Knicks that if this was the Knicks last year, before they went to that playoffs, we would actually sit here and be like, you know what, it's okay. They're learning. They're only going to get better. We knew this was going to be a process. But when you have the team that went to the playoffs last season and showed up the way they did and played with that much energy, and then you have this team this year, it's like it's reverse. This wasn't supposed to happen. But unfortunately, this is what we have. Like you said, we invested in this Mr. Julius Randle. Hopefully he gets his act together. If not,
listen, if Julius Randle does not get his act together, Obi Toppin is going to get more minutes, and that's going to spoil any trade value he may have. So that you have to balance that out very, very carefully, okay? Because your trade value now, you can't dump a guy while he's down. You can try to trade a guy when he's up. And right now, I think what the Knicks should do is keep your starting five you normally have in there, and instead of waiting 10 minutes or letting him play the whole first quarter, trickle in a Burks in early for Kemba. Or trickle in a Rose early. Bring a Quickly early. Don't let the league get out of hand where you have to catch the ball. And then in the third quarter, when you're starting that starting unit, mix the starting unit a little bit with starting and some of that. And listen, the best lineup for me is putting Obi, Barrett, Mitchell Robinson,
and
Quickly and Burks out there.
Facts.
Believe me. And or even a trick of Rose or whatever. And those guys, those are the core guys who has energy.
Yeah.
I think Julius Randle being the oldest guy with Taj Gibson here, these young guys like playing with each other. These young guys being together. Like Barrett gets along with Obi. They have a chemistry, this youth stuff. It's not working with that first unit. They have to figure it out. Kemba Walker is definitely the issue with Julius Randle. Something is not connected there.
It's not gelling.
Yeah. Listen, it starts with your point guard. It's always started with your point guard. And
Agreed.
Julius is trying to do too much, and he's not he's playing lazy ball. He's playing of 2 years ago. He's the player of 2 years ago.
I agree. You hit it right. You hit it right on the notch, man. I mean, like I said, maybe it's time to Well, I don't know what other options are there at the point guard spot, besides McBride. But we'll see, man. Like I said, maybe Derrick Rose. You don't want to touch that bench because that bench is doing so phenomenally for you. But at the same time, you have to bring, like I said a few minutes ago, you have to bring some energy into that starting lineup because there's just none. They're playing just like you said, lazy basketball. Just run up to that 3-point line and shoot it. If you're hot, we're fantastic, and if you're not, you live and you die by the three. And last night showed a perfect example of what happens when you're not hot.
Yeah, and that's an issue. And there's no confidence, there's no continuity, there's no energy, there's no desire. There's just, and it leads with Randle, because you could see Randle. People pick up his energy. His energy has been up and down this year. He'll play one good game when they win, and when they're losing, he's just out of sorts. Juby, we have another game coming up on Saturday, correct?
Yep.
And we play the lowly Houston Rockets.
We're gonna lose.
if we lose to the Houston Rockets, there has to be some kind of team meeting. No, seriously. If we lose to the Houston Rockets, Leon Rose is going to have to sit down with someone here and decide what they're going to do with this team, because it's still early, Juby. That's the whole thing. It's 20. Now, if this happens 25 games in, 30 games in, I don't know. I have no answers right now. We don't want to press the panic button. We sound like we're panicking, but we're concerned because, wow, Julius Randle is not the man we saw last year. What a different player.
Yeah. All I can say, listen, I'm just about wrapped up, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing I want to say is free Obi Toppin. Give my man the minutes. Give him the playing time, and you're gonna see. But at the same time, it scares me because if he starts doing great, teams are gonna start asking for him, and I'll be darn. And I'm gonna say darn. I'm gonna try to keep it, young minded here. If we trade Obi Toppin, that'll be the finishing touch for me as a Knicks fan. If Obi Toppin gets packaged somewhere and you get stuck with Mitchell Robinson, with Julius Randle. I've said it since the beginning of the season. Obi Toppin is the future power forward. I don't know why they invested that money into Julius Randle. I know that he took a pay cut. I know what he did for us last year, but
what is it? It's a 5-year contract, right?
It's a 5-year contract, and now you're having Mitchell Robinson's contract, which Mitchell Robinson is not a bad player, but take notes, Knicks organization. You just paid a man $110 million, and look what he's doing. Please, for Christ's sake, do not give Mitchell Robinson the bag and lock yourself into where you can't get anybody, because that point
Mitchell Robinson is the real deal, man.
He's good. He's good.
He played a great game last night. He had like 5 block shots, man. The guy was phenomenal last
night. Five. I think he had 5 offensive rebounds. It's fantastic.
It was great. I think, listen, he's not the problem. His issue is trying to be injury free. That's the only thing about Mitchell Robinson I'm concerned about. But Robinson, I'm sorry, he didn't have 5 block shots. He had 1 block shot. Gibson had 3 block shots, and Rose had 2 block shots. So yeah, he played phenomenal yesterday. He played the defense. He had the energy. I want to see Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Obi, and throw in Rose, Quickly, or Burks in there. That's the unit that it's because Barrett feeds off that. Barrett is the leader of this team. He's the face of the franchise, and I think he's the man who'll be stirring the drinks in New York.
We've said it. Remember, we've been saying it, that give him time, but he's the man. But Julius Randle is just here because no star wanted to come here, and that he's the Amari Stoudemire of the Gen Z generation, and that's my opinion. Amari Stoudemire did the same thing. Nobody wanted to come here like LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. Amari came here. He was good 1.5 seasons, and then he slowly started to dwindle down. Julius Randle, I hope that's not going to be the same case. I hope we're going to find the Julius Randle of last season. But Only time will tell. I know it's only, like I said, still early in the season. But when do we as Knicks fans say enough is enough and stop using that excuse that the team has to gel and it's only 15 games in the season? That's all I gotta say today, Zenry. I don't know if you want to wrap something up and give us your final thoughts.
What you said is, when is enough is enough. My thing is, if McBride is doing well in the G League and he's putting up these numbers, you bring him in, start him as a point guard, let him make the mistakes now early, let him get it over with. But he is gonna be obviously make mistakes, but it can't be as bad as the mistakes the Knicks are making now.
True, facts.
You know what I'm saying? Put him in there, in the fire. But I understand what they're gonna do. They're gonna build his confidence, get him going, and I can see McBride being in the Knicks lineup probably as coming off the bench. I don't think they'll start him. But you have to do something daring, something fierce. And Thibodeau's MO is he's conservative and loyal to his guys. Right. So I think we're gonna see the Randle, the Barrett, the Kemba Walker, Fournier, and Mitchell Robinson lineup for a while. With that said, Juby, thanks for being on, and we'll be on again on Saturday. The game's on Saturday night, right, Juby? So
we'll do a follow up game. Sunday. I guess Sunday morning.
Sunday morning we'll do a follow up. With that said, Juby, thank you. You can catch Juby. What information would it catch you? Family Above Everything, Juby?
Yes, sir. Family Above Everything. Absolutely. Look out for that. Game content, streaming content. Find a bunch of stuff. And check out the merch website, Family Above Everything, where you'll find different things that my wife puts together. Cups. The holidays are upon us. Look out for your tumblers. Definitely check it out. And again, I'm going to stress, check out my partner's channel. Zen for Life. I couldn't sleep last night. The wife was having nightmares. I'll share that with you guys, and I couldn't fall asleep, so I had to put on Zen for Life, and it worked. At 1 in the morning, I fell asleep. So check out his stuff. It's good stuff.
I'm glad it helped you. Maybe it can help Julius Randle to kind of relax a little bit on the court. But with that said, Julie, thank you. And like I said, my partner, check him out for the holiday season. Family Above Everything. Gino does some fantastic work with our product line, and you can check me out as Zen Ray at Zen Ray TV at Twitter, and also Zen for Life on YouTube. So with that said, Juby, let the universe inspire us all, including our New York Knicks. They need it the most, knowing that the best is yet to come. Have love, passion, and gratitude in your heart. And with that said, Juby, Zen Ray out. We'll talk soon. And
all right, brother.
Go New York, go New York, go. Let's stay confident.
Let's do it. Have a great day, guys.
Orange and blue.
All right, guys. That was Zen Ray with Zen Ray Sports TV. Signing us off on his behalf. And on my behalf, all I'm going to say is free Obi. And, something needs to happen. But we'll see. It's still early enough. Hopefully we can get our act together. Want you guys to enjoy today, tomorrow, and every day moving forward. It's beautiful weather before the cold hits. And as always, family above everything, guys. Stay safe. Peace.
We are the New York Knicks. 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 Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. We're back on track, here we come. League is done in 21, and the Knicks are on a run. And I'll tell you, with Tibbs, we have bit too much to handle. With Barrett, Bullock, Burst, and Randle, it's the Knicks, and we're taking back our place. Everyone's gearing up with a mask on the face. The Garden's going crazy, and they're doing it for a reason. 21 is the Knickerbocker season. You better believe the Knicks got all that it takes. We're shooting 3-pointers, and we're running fast breaks. If your defense makes a mistake, then bam! Robbie Duncan's in your face. This is a team you don't want to miss. We are New York. We are the New York Knicks. Go New York, go New York, go!